We're back with our best political team on television. Let's kick it off with Jessica Yellen. Jessica?
Suzanne, here's something you don't hear about every day. Last night, a man had the tip of his pinky finger bitten off at a rally for health care reform in Southern California. Now, CNN producer Kevin Bond spoke with the victim, this man here, William Rice, and he won't say if he's actually for or against health reform, but he says he got into a confrontation with someone who does support the president's reform plans. He says that man taunted him and called him names, so he hit the man. His hand ended up in the man's mouth, or his finger did, and that guy bit down. Now, he severed the tip of Rice's pinky. On the bright side, reportedly, he has Medicare. He was treated at a local hospital, and the hospital tells us he chose not to have the pinky tip reattached. He didn't want to get surgery. Okay, so clearly this is not the norm at healthcare rallies. It is the first instance of contact politics I can remember in recent years. But the question is, how did the healthcare debate get to this point? Suzanne?
Hey, Candy, let's start with you this go around.
Let's just begin with ick.
There's a lot of ick factor in this story.
I think that's pretty much what we need. And second of all, it's time for winter to come, so everyone can go back in their homes and not come out till spring. And who knows? Because sometimes people show up at rallies and they're all head up, and they apparently do stuff like this. But this is, I don't think you can say this is the result of town hall meetings. This is like two people getting out of hand, as people tend to do, even without liquor.
It's a pretty gruesome way to demonstrate the need for universal health coverage, I'll tell you. But, what's funny about this, or not funny, but sort of sad, is a lot of the Congress people you talk to who come home says most of the town meetings were not about screamers. They were not about people disrupting. They were about a lot of Americans, some of whom support health care reform, some of whom were skeptical, who actually ask a lot of serious questions. And guess what? That's not interesting television. That doesn't get a lot of coverage. That's what most of the town meetings were about. Not about the shouters, and certainly, thank God, not about people biting fingers off.
Well, you want to call it schoolyard, except when I was in school, I remember the rules were no biting, kicking, or scratching. So it was a good, clean blow. It is, but it's a big country. There are a lot of people involved in this debate, and it is maybe statistically predictable that something like this is going to happen.
Has it kind of just gotten out of control, though? Is there a point where people need to step back and say, look, let's lower the temperature here and let's have a real healthy discussion?
Well, as EJ said, there was a lot of that going on over the congressional break, clearly not between these two people. And I think, look, there's a lot of anxiety out there. We have economic anxiety. You have a lot of senior citizens who are worried what's going to happen to their health care. And so I think it's kind of a pot that gets stirred and stirred.
There are a lot of bar fights at the top of bull markets, too. I mean, in good times, people also will sometimes take a swing at their neck.
Are the Republicans or Democrats?
This is about two people out of control.
Well, one guy, it's about anger. Let's put it that way.
Okay,
it's about
anger. I mean, this is just sort of such an outlier here. I mean, there's a difference between people getting up and yelling in a town hall meeting and biting someone's finger off. I mean, this is.
I don't even
know. But the truth is, the yellers also got way more attention than their share of the population. That I think their role in this was way overplayed in all
this.
Who
was doing more of the yelling? Was it Democrats or Republicans? Who was doing more of the yelling, do you think, in this, when we saw these town halls and
it was a small,
do the most yelling.
It was a small group of right-wingers who showed up and were mad and yelled and disrupted, and a lot of
I don't know that they're right-wingers, but people who don't want the health care plan, who think it's a bad idea. I mean, that's always the case in any issue. The people who are against it are the most passionate, and those are the people.
And I think actually that way of framing it as Republicans versus Democrats is seriously misleading to both sides, because Republicans are getting the idea that there's this great populist head of steam out there for them. What there is a great populist head of steam out there against tampering with Medicare, and that head of steam will be the same when it is a Republican who is trying to restrain the growth in Medicare spending, as it is with a Democrat. And what I am left wondering about this is if there's a Democrat who's volunteering to do that job, I don't know why you want to get in his way.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here. Very lively discussion. Jack Cafferty joining us again. Hey, Jack.
Tough act to follow. The question this hour, what should President Obama... Stop laughing.